Today we will see the life cycle of Ascaris lumbricoids. Ascaris, it is commonly called as roundworm. It is a platyhelminthes, and in that platyhelminthes, as we had already studied, there are two, that is male and female. These are separate. Okay, as these sexes are separate, copulation takes place between the male and female roundworm, and it occurs within the intestine of host organism, that is the intestine of man or children's. After copulation of male and female ascaris, internal fertilization occurs, and each female roundworm, it produces large number of eggs continuously for a successful completion of life cycle, which involves many risks in the development of that eggs to the adult Ascaris lumbricoids. Okay, now we will see one by one. The eggs, they are first dropped into the cavity of host intestine, from where they are sent out through the anus along with fecal matter. Okay, the further development of eggs not occur in the intestine of man. These eggs are removed outside the body with fecal matter of the infected host. Then, as we studied, each egg, it is a very minute in size, oval in shape, and has a protective shell around it. The infection is direct, and no intermediate host is necessary to complete the life cycle. Okay. However, a period of development outside the host body is found to be necessary before the eggs become infective for another host. In low temperature, the eggs, they remain dormant and inactive for several months, but under favorable conditions of temperature and moisture, they develop into embryos in about 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, it requires 2 to 3 weeks for the development of embryo from these eggs. These embryonated eggs, they reach the body of another host by contaminant or contamination, by direct contact, or through the water, air, or food in the form of contamination. Children who often plays in dirty places, they are easily affected by the parasites. When they are swallowed, the egg pass into the intestine of new host, where the egg shells, they are dissolved, and the young larvae, they are freed into the intestine of new host. The young larvae, they have appearance and structure of a free living nematode known as Rhabditis, and therefore it is known as or named as Rhabditian larva. Okay, the larva of Ascaris lumbricoid is known as Rhabditian larva. The young roundworm, it differ from adult in their small size and in non-development of reproductive organs. They are small size and reproductive organs are not developed. These larvae are more aptly described as juvenile worms. Okay, and then each juvenile worm, that is about 0.2 to 0.3 millimeter long, and it is elongated cylindrical body with pointed ends and with enlargement in the pharynx. Then, like Rhabditis, the young worm in the earlier stages, it exhibit their likeness to a free living habit. The young worm in earlier stages exhibit their likeness to a free living habit, although the small intestine is their permanent place of lodging and boarding. These do not remain at that place, but they develop into the adults. They burrow through the intestinal wall into the veins and lymph vessels and make an interesting extra intestinal migration, traveling through a number of the body organs of the host. Then, through the hepatic portal veins, the larva reach to the liver. First, it comes into the liver, and from there, they are carried into the heart by inferior vena cava, along with the flow of impure blood through the pulmonary artery. The larvae reach the lungs, where they stay for few days. In the lungs, they leave the blood capillaries and burrow into the air sacs to be carried into the pharynx through the trachea. Thus, they re-enter into alimentary canal and reach the intestine via esophagus and stomach. In the intestine, the larvae molt and shed their cuticle twice and undergo further changes to become the adult roundworms in humans. The period of migration, it requires about 10 days, and the parasites become sexually matured in about 10 weeks from the time of infection in the new host. The significance of this extra intestinal migration is inexplicable. Okay, it cannot be explained. The fact that the young grow into the adult parasite only after early free living stages indicate the evolution of those parasites from the original free living habit. The physiological environment of the intestine may perhaps be sustainable to the juvenile worms, which perhaps require further changes in their body structures or physiology in order that have to be able to live in the intestine of the new host organism. Okay, in this way we had concluded the life cycle of Ascaris.